This video is a bit different because I completed my first ever sketchbook that I bought, which was about 2.5 months ago. To be honest, I have not went back and looked at my old drawings ever. So I thought, let's do it together, and it would be fun for me to look back on how my drawing has progressed or regressed, I don't know. I also thought it would be fun for you. If you're a seasoned artist, maybe you will see the same journey that you took, same mistakes. If you're somebody just starting out like me, maybe you will see some semblance in your work as well. Or if you're a beginner who wants to start but has never gotten around to it, maybe this sketchbook will help you. I don't know, maybe it will motivate you to start drawing, or maybe it will demotivate you depending on how much progress you can actually make in like almost 3 months now. So that's the point. I finished this. I'm really excited to go back over my journey. This is my first ever art journey ever, and it's right here, so let's get started. Alright, so this was the very first drawing that I made in the sketchbook. So this was to just, you know, throw something on the paper to get started. And this is just my living room with the TV rack and like weird stuff that was around on the table. But yeah, that was the beginning of what has now become a really fun journey. Here on this page I made like a small exercise sheet that I would come back and just draw like circles and lines and whatnot, which as you can see I've not really gotten around to doing. It also got boring after some point, but the reason why I always wanted to draw was so that I could draw faces. And I saw this YouTube short that said, okay, this is like a quick way to draw heads using the Loomis method. And I tried to follow that short and made a few drawings, but you can see they're not the best. Mind you, I was consuming art content before I started drawing, so I knew some of the famous art channels like Proco, even Artwad. I remember Artwad has like a free ebook that you can download, which is for beginners. It's not like a complete ebook, it's more like a funnel for the actual Artwad program. But I thought, hey, that might be a good start, you know? So I downloaded the ebook and basically just started drawing everything that was on the book. Like, it was not necessarily I was trying to learn, it was more I was trying to replicate everything that I saw. So the first step was learning how to draw boxes. These look fancy because of the sketching that I did on top. I was learning 1 point perspective with like a single vanishing point. I really liked his teaching, which said if something is below the vanishing point, you see the top half and top part, and then if something is above the vanishing point, you see the bottom half, something like that. And then also the next few pages are just me sort of copying what he teaches, which is mostly manipulating shapes, contours, which is pretty common in his teachings. Same here as well, nothing out of the ordinary. But here, this one was pretty interesting because I followed a step-by-step procedure to make a mallet or a hammer. This one I was like really proud of because I had never drawn anything 3D in my life. I was like, okay, this looks a bit more realistic, but it looks a bit more three-dimensional. Similar with this, I just followed the steps, and then I also made another mallet using that. Not as good as the earlier one, but still, it was something I was really proud of. And then we have like more exercises, just copying drawings. This one was interesting because it taught me like how to see things through shapes, which I didn't necessarily understand when I was drawing it. I was just like, okay, if you put a cylinder on top of a triangle, it makes a crocodile's head. Same here, like I would have never expected that to draw something like this, you have to first draw a sphere. And this was like my introduction to how shapes are the foundation of whatever you draw. Like this wrapping thing here, it can be constructed out of cylinders, and that was when I started to sort of be like, so shapes are what make up things. And then the next few exercises that I did also have similar things. For example, there's a tutorial on how to make armor, which I suppose now this is also how you construct ribcage, but it started with a wide cylinder. Same here, and here with like helmets. And yeah, all of these are like drawings from the Artwad ebook. Here I tried to draw like spearheads, but for some reason I kept drawing this cross contour rectangle and it didn't really make sense. Apparently the cross contour is supposed to be square. And this one I was visiting London, I think, and I had taken like a bunch of pictures of lamps in Chinatown and also like some pictures of these old, you know, British lampposts, and I wanted to draw those, so I did some of those drawings. Some of these are taken from Pinterest. Everything that you see in this sketchbook is like drawn from reference except 2 or 3 drawings, which I will tell you when we get there. Yeah, more artwork stuff, and this is where like the ebook ends. Okay, what should I do next? So let's go back again to drawing what I initially wanted to draw, which was drawing heads. I was watching another YouTube tutorial on how to draw heads using Loomis method, and then the video says that because the book is so old, you can technically download it without pirating. So I was like, okay, I'll go to the source directly. So I downloaded the Drawing Head and Hands book by Andrew Loomis. And the first few pages I read, but the main takeaway that I could take is like, okay, this cross right here determines like which way your character faces. That was the most important lesson I think that I got, but other than that I was still struggling with drawing heads. Here I did some studies, like just drawings from his book. I tried to follow his tutorial. He also had a study of this skull. This skull looks really good. This one, I don't know, this one looks like Giga Chad, I suppose. Fun stuff. Yeah, and there was also a page about like the planes of the head. I didn't really understand it at the time, I just copied what I saw. But I would also get tired of like always drawing heads, so I would constantly bounce around, and that way I also avoided sort of burning out. Yeah, and I would also watch like tons of sketchbook tour videos, which is also what inspired me to make these. Like I love watching people's sketchbook tours, and I was watching one in Proco, and the artist said that she loves drawing stacked books, and I thought, okay, how hard can drawing stacked books be? Turns out pretty hard. Because I was bouncing around so much, I avoided burnout, but I also feel like if I had just focused on like one thing instead of bouncing around too much, maybe I would have improved a bit faster. But I just did what felt good to me. Some more perspective studies, really bad perspective. The door frame, and then again back to drawing heads. I was like kind of getting lost because I just couldn't nail the head properly. Yeah, a few more head drawings. The good old Loomis method. Forget head, like I didn't even know how to draw eyes or nose or lips. Some more Loomis head studies. Then again, to avoid burnout, I would draw something that I really liked. I like trains, so I draw trains a lot. I tried to draw a motorcycle from imagination, but I didn't know where to place the headlight, so instead I gave like huge titties to the bike. I also drew my first car here, and the car looks really wonky. The windows are a bit fucked up here. I also drew Abaddon from Dota 2. If you know who that is, we will be great friends. So yeah, I had like a reference box here. It was around this time when I was listening to a podcast. It's the Draftsman podcast that is done by the guys from Proco. In one of the episodes, they talk about how there is another book by Andrew Loomis, which is more geared for beginners, which was called Fun with a Pencil. And I was like, okay, I will start there. And so I went back and then I downloaded this book. I don't know, for some reason, the proportions are immediately better. Like he has such a good way of teaching you, like holding your hand and stuff. And even though these are like stylized characters, the proportions in these characters are much better than what I was drawing earlier here. I really enjoyed the book. I did a lot more drawing. It just looks so much better. He also had like emotion studies. Somebody smiles, this is like what happens in their face. With the same with laughter, and then with angry, which my problem again was I was jumping around so much, taking too much instructions, too much advice at the same time. I should have just kept on with the book, but what I did is I was jumping around with tutorials, trying to learn everything. And so this was like one of the exercises that I saw, which is rotating the planes. And then also more exercises like drawing some lines, drawing these curves, drawing arcs, putting a point and then making sure all lines cross through the point. And I hated these exercises, these 3 pages. I did 3 pages of these, and then I probably never did them again. Like, I just hate these things. But there was one exercise I really liked, which was the ribbon exercise. I still use this technique a lot when I draw hair. Yeah, like look here, the rotating box bullshit, right? And I did that. And every art tutorial is like practice boxes, but it never clicked for me. Like I was never like, aha, so this is what happens when you practice boxes. Like it didn't click for me until like really long after. Boxes clicked when I was not practicing boxes. When I did this, I hated it. Oof. Yeah, same here, in drawing more boxes, stacking boxes. And every time I feel like, okay, this is getting annoying, I would draw something that I wanted. So I don't know, I just drew some rocks, taken from Pinterest, with a little bit of JoJo reference over there. Here, more boxes. I even wrote a note that says rotating a box is like the most fuck-ass thing ever. It still is. I thought, okay, if I'm to really practice drawing boxes, why not just draw landscapes and then make boxes into cars? So a 1-point perspective of Snow-Chalite. And so this is the road and like buildings all going towards one vanishing points and cars. And anyways, more perspective studies. Just because it was not fun doesn't mean I gave up. And then I was like, okay, what are boxes actually useful for? Let's draw some anatomy. So I tried drawing anatomy without any idea of proportions or like how anatomically correct things are. I would just assume, okay, that the rib cage is bigger and then the pelvis is short. Some of these turned out good. Like this one is really weird, but this one, okay. This one is supposed to be the second gear Luffy from One Piece. And some more boxes and figures here. I used to take like pictures of models in Instagram. Sounds creepy, it's not. And I would try to make like simple shapes. But the problem with doing that is, I realized late, is that when somebody's wearing clothes, you just do not have the idea about what their body actually looks like. So yeah, some of these proportions where the characters are wearing like really big skirts or coats, they look kind of odd. Figure drawings, this one was just copied from Pinterest, that's why it looks good. But this one I drew myself and I was really proud of it, right? But I went back and tried to recreate it again and it looks very bad, this one. And yeah, more boxes, more boxes. I'm not better at drawing boxes, I still suck at that, but like sort of understanding how vanishing points work. More boxes, but it did help me in like drawing trains again. So we have more random sketches of things, of anatomy, torso, some more good, bad figure drawings. This was around the time when I heard the term gesture drawing, which is like you draw something really fast and try to capture the motion. So that's kind of what I was aiming with these drawings, although they took me like a lot of time. I drew my first motorcycle here, which I'm really proud of, using the box. It's a cool bike with double exhaust apparently and a really flimsy tire. It was here, I remember this drawing is when I discovered Michael Hampton. The title of the video was so enticing. It was like how to draw a body with 16 lines or something like that. I didn't fully know what gesture drawing was. I was very fascinated by that and then I followed his tutorials. So I started following his advice and doing gesture drawings, which it was like really fun. Like you don't have to draw details. You don't have to care too much about forms. You just draw gestures and then perspective is quite easy to show with these lines. And this is what I drew following his example. I also tried to draw the baby from the Nirvana album cover for some reason here. Looks weird. But these are like some of the most beautiful gestures that I ever drew. That's supposed to be Britney Spears, if you didn't know. And these are characters from Samurai Champloo. This was quite fun. Doing gesture drawing was fun. Doing gesture drawing was fun until it wasn't. Here as well, I did like a quick gesture drawing and then added form on top, but it looked a bit weird and I said I will redraw this in 1 week. Unfortunately, I never redrew this again, so yeah, sorry if you're expecting to see an update. I started with a gesture and then added details on top. Not the best again, but you will see like next few pages are going to be full of gesture drawings. And all of these are like characters from Guilty Gear. They have stickers with like really dynamic poses, so I thought maybe drawing those would be helpful. And you can sort of see that I start to descend into madness. Some of them are easy to capture. For example, this one, it's like a really dynamic gesture. But then some of them are like really hard. It was around this time that I was traveling as well. So I was like, okay, let's draw something quick at the airport. So I drew like a few gestures of people waiting in line. Drew some foreshortening stuff, which I don't know why, but I used myself as reference, like keeping my hand really close to the camera and then drawing stuff. This is the first thing that I drew from imagination. And the story behind this is there's like some websites online that give you prompt and you can just draw. And so the prompt was Fisherman by the Sea, and my first ever drawing ever from imagination. Quite proud of it actually, because the cars are in perspective. The bench, not so much. I put like everything I learned here. This was what my friend drew, or more painted. And then I also did like a few more of these prompt drawings. This one was a sailor comes back to a burning village. I didn't know how to make them a sailor, so I gave them like an anchor tattoo at the back. Also, I think this dress looks like sailor, I don't know. Yeah, again, back to drawing from references, back to gesture drawing. That's just typical practice stuff. Here is another drawing. Prompt for this was a thief in a library or something, yeah. Yeah, other than that, mostly sketches. What I do is like, I do a lot of practice work, and then I usually have like in between those practice work, I have like completed pictures. That's how I do things. Quick drawing of Lucy from Cyberpunk Edge Runners. She looks weird. Nah, don't worry about it. This is another character from Guilty Gear. I was also sort of learning how shading works around this time with these two drawings, and how hatching and cross-hatching works. Some doodles that I did, some weird anime girl that I drew. I did draw this cat. Color just does so much. It just helps drawings pop out so much. Please, let's not forget what we initially intended. And so I thought, okay, fuck it. Let's go back to drawing heads again. And let's take it more seriously this time. So I started learning about the planes of the face. I also looked at other head construction method, not just Andrew Loomis. This was like one of the better heads that I drew. And then I just started drawing heads. It doesn't matter if it's like good or bad. I would just draw a head and then move on, and then just take what was wrong and then apply it to the next one. Sometimes they turn out good, sometimes bad. The main point was you just move on. Like, for example, these heads are nice, but then you come to this page and these heads are not so nice. This girl looks like the cover album for Court of the Crimson King or something, the song. And here I started also using shading, although I'm not sure if this is the correct direction. Yeah, I just shaded it to add more depth and it just looks better. And more head drawings. All of them drawn from reference, of course. And I'm sorry to any models that I may have drawn. More head drawings, more head drawings. It was like doing this head drawing that made me realize, okay, what are my weak points? First of all, I don't know how to draw an eye properly. I also don't know how to draw lips properly. Nose, they are like somewhat satisfactory, I suppose. These ones are like really good. A lot of these practice, I took like a one-day break, came back, and these turned out much better. I was also starting to do some shading around this point, more heads. And I was like, okay, I need to do some lip studies because I clearly don't know what the fuck I'm doing. The perspective of my lips are like always bad. So I followed some tutorials, drew like a bunch of lips to get better at them, and now I have like a technique that I use to draw lips, which I think has worked pretty well for me. And then more head drawings again. It's like incremental improvement. I don't expect my head to be very good, but from what I started to here, I think like, okay, they at least look decent. And this was like from Michael Hampton's video where he talks about planes of the head. But again, like no matter how much you practice, some of the drawings, they just come out bad. A few more gesture drawings as well. I did it for one of my videos and this one turned out good. Did some drawings and finally starting to understand what values are. Some quick sketches, some finished ones, some unfinished ones. And I also started taking like shading and hatching and all those things more seriously. And so I followed some tutorials. Here I tried to draw Galbarina from Wuthering Waves. Not my best work. And then again, more cross-hatching stuff. This is like a bat wing, cheese, I suppose, ribbons. And then I also drew Augusta from Wuthering Waves. She's a bit better than Galbarina, I suppose. Much better than this. The colors just make everything look so much better. I don't know why I don't use it more often. Her lips are better, but now you can see like I still have no idea how to draw eyes. I started learning about the planes of the eyes here, and how they are not flat, they're more hollowed out. Some more sketches. This is, I don't know what this is. But at this point I just gave up and I was like, okay, fine, I'll learn the Asaro head. Not the perfect model, but it does have all the planes in it. But learning this was really good. Like it actually showed me when I was drawing this, even though it's not perfect, like I could actually study where the planes of the faces are and where shadows and lights interact. That actually helped a lot in shading. A few portraits that I made after studying the Asaro head. This one as well, studying the planes of the face, and this one. And the shading is a bit more accurate. These few pages are like for another video where I did studies of my favorite manga. This one's from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Some more dynamic pose drawing stuff from here. And this one is from Junji Ito and from his manga. This one is from Ranking of the Kings. And after that, I thought, okay, it's finally time to start learning more about figure drawing and anatomy. I've now started drawing anatomy a bit more, and I'm trying to understand the proportions of the body. The book I'm using for most of these is another one of Andrew Loomis's book, Figure Drawing for All It's Worth or something. But even the Fun with a Pencil book had like good information about proportions. So I'm going in tandem with both of those books right now. Some more anatomy studies, and I was I started using a bit more color. So every once in a while I practice and then I draw like a quick sketch, just so that my sketchbook is not full of practice. Tried drawing some legs with heels, turned out really bad. Sometimes I just descend into madness where I draw everything on one page. Here I was just greedy because I didn't want the sketchbook to end, so I just drew something with black and then I drew something with green again. But here are like a few poses, like figure drawings. This one, quite nice, this one as well, and then more like studying the planes, sketching in between all of those, and more figure drawing. Here I tried drawing cars. This was done completely by pen, which I'm quite proud of, actually. Yeah, we're back to practicing again. Practice, yeah. Go back to boxes every once in a while. Now when I draw my stack of books, they look like a bit more better than what I used to draw in the beginning. And the final page is not the final page, sorry, there's still like one page left, but this was the last thing that I drew in the sketchbook before it's completely done with some shading techniques. I do have one paper left and I want to complete this together now. I've always wanted to draw something from imagination, so let's do that. Let's just draw something from our imagination. So I've been watching a lot of Peter Hunt recently and I just like the way he approaches drawing. Just try to do something in his style. So what I think I want is like a person over here with like standing over here with like their weapon. I don't know if the proportions are good, but who cares? And they have like their sort of weapon here, and then their opponent perhaps is like here. Crouching, I suppose, something like this. So start with the nose. Oh no, this is the free rein angle. Oh no, I hate. I don't know how to draw hands, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, the perspective's not the best. She has a huge legs, which, I don't know, could be a stylized choice, I suppose. Couple of mountains to show that it's like happening on top of a hill. Yeah, there you go. Quick sketch.